Okay. Hi, everybody, and welcome to our first Molo9 live Q&A. Oh, sorry. The mic in front. There we go. Now you can hear me better. So, today we have a few questions that we are going to cover. Hi, everybody. Let me get those pulled up. So, a few of you sent me questions via Telegram, and some of you sent them over via the Facebook group and via the forum. So I'm just going to go through them in order that I have received them. And then if you have any questions that you would like to add at the end, you are more than welcome to just drop them in as comments. But first, I think we're going to give people a few minutes to enter in and to log in and check this out. Once you log in, if you just want to say where you are tuning in from or something like that, then I could see in the comments who we have here. Maybe. Okay. So, let me go through a few quick announcements. One, this live Q&A is recorded and will live in Molo9's repository. So for those of you who are Molo9 members, this means that you'll have access to it for the duration of your subscription. This does, however, also mean that if you are not a rapid growth company whose strategies and roadmap are constantly adjusting as you grow, you may want to be careful with the information you share in this live Q&A session. Just because we don't... Hey, how are you? Miami, yes, very cool. So you may want to be careful with the information that you share in here, just in case a future competitor does hop in and join Molo9 as well. If you do want to deep dive into your details so that I can give you more custom tailored advice, we do have one-on-one and small group coaching sessions available. And we also have the 25 taco bonus going on right now as well. Along these same lines, today I will probably use some examples that I've witnessed throughout my career. I can only either share the details or the company. I cannot do both, as this would be a breach of the contract with those past clients. And for those of you who do not know who I am, I'm just going to do a quick intro so you know which types of questions to ask me. And if you have any questions that I'm not equipped to answer, I'm just going to ask you to drop them into our Quora page. We have Quora space. If you go to molo9.com and you click the Quora button, it will bring you to our Quora space. And that's where you can ask different questions that I may not know the answer to, but then I can bring those links to people who do know the answers to those questions to get you the right answer. Okay, let me just skip to my notes. Okay, so for those of you who do not know me, my name is Soozin, and I have spent more than a decade as a growth hacker. If you do not know what a growth hacker is, basically it's somebody who works in the marketing space, and instead of looking at just getting you leads or just improving the conversion rate optimization of your website, we look at the entire funnel. We look at macro funnel conversions first, which means we look at the entire funnel, and then we look at micro funnel conversions, which means we look at every part of the funnel from when somebody first interacts with your brand all the way till they purchase and go through a period at which we determine they are a retained customer. So that's kind of my background. My favorite thing about growth hacking is something called blitz scaling, which means we grow companies really fast. And as of now, the fastest I've grown a startup is from idea on paper to more than 108 million in sales in less than 5 years. I said 104 million in sales on a few interviews, and then somebody corrected me who read my case study and was like, actually, you're wrong, off by 4 million. But anyways, also, I own 5 companies and brands that are all geared toward helping startup founders. So if there's something that you need help with that you're not finding on Molo9, just let me know, because I might have one of my other companies that can help you with that. Okay, so there was a question about channels, and I want to cover that before we get into this. There are more than 100 different customer acquisition channels that you can use to acquire customers. And with that, you have a lot of different options out there. Some could be your primary channels, some could be your secondary channels. Some people have certain channels that they see work really well when they braid them together. I am not starting with email marketing because I think that's the most important channel out there. I am starting with email marketing because that's what a Molo9 member asked, if we could start the Q&A sessions focusing on email marketing. So there are a lot of other options out there. I don't think that email marketing is the best channel for everyone. There are some people who just don't even see any results with email marketing. That's totally fine. We're just covering email marketing right now because that's where the majority of questions were. And we do have, I believe, 8 more Q&A sessions scheduled to cover other types of other channels out there in other parts of the funnel. So but let's dive into email marketing. Excuse me. Sorry, I do not have COVID. Got a negative test. I have the croup. Okay, so the first question we had was around email deliverability. If you are tuning in from your computer, what I want you to do is quickly open up another tab and go to your email inbox. And then you want to scroll to the spam folder and just take a look at that. I'll pause for a few seconds so that you can open that while I grab a sip of water. Okay, so what are you looking for in your spam folder? You should see some things in your spam folder that you actually, there are lists that or emails that you marked as spam and they went there. But you should also see some emails in there that you maybe have never seen before. And those were determined by your email provider as spam and sent directly to your spam folder. Now, for you as an email user, this is great. But for you using email marketing, this is not the most desirable thing. There are a few things that the email provider looks at when they decide what is going to be marked as spam. So some of those emails in your spam folder, they may have things like spammy content and URLs that have been marked for like scams or phishing and whatnot. Some of them are in the spam folder because the sender's reputation score is low, which means they may be using, there are a few different things that can impact the reputation score. Sorry, let me not get ahead of myself. So the things that can impact a reputation, the domain reputation score, include how many email addresses have blacklisted that domain as spam, the percentage of the sender's emails that bounce. So if you bought a list and you have a high bounce rate because you're sending emails that are not getting delivered and they're bouncing for multiple reasons, actually, then you could be flagged as an unethical or a scammy sender, and that will impact your domain's reputational score. Then you also have complaints to organizations like the FTC that can impact your domain score. And you also have, the last one is email volume. So influencers like Jeff Walker, he's the author of a book called Launch. He has a massive email list, and he sends out his emails in buckets of 20,000 because he found that when he sends them out in more than a bucket of 20,000 emails or 20,000 emails at the same time, that he gets the email deliverability is actually lower. Okay, so email deliverability is actually the term used to describe the percentage of emails that are successfully delivered from a subscriber's inbox to a subscriber's inbox instead of their spam folder. So if you are new to email marketing and you're noticing that when you send out your test emails to friends and family, they're going to their spam folder, tell them to take those emails and move it to their primary inbox. And that does something called warming the IP. So it helps different email providers to realize that you're not con artists trying to like trick people, that you are sending legitimate information that should be actually going to the inbox. It should not be going to the spam folder. If you've been sending emails for a while and you've noticed that your deliverability suddenly tanks, this is actually something that's a little bit unfortunate, but some email providers do this where you'll be on a shared server and they may have a new client come in whose deliverability is low, And so they put that client's emails and have them send out on the same server as yours so that it helps their deliverability go up, but at the same time, it drops your deliverability a little bit. So people like Neil Patel, he's a marketing guru you may or may not have heard of yet. They recommend switching your email provider every 3 to 6 months to prevent this from happening. Another option you can do is ask your email provider if you can have a dedicated server for sending out your emails. All right. Okay, so the next question that obviously came after this one was, what if I bought a list? Okay, so that's not a bad thing. You may not want to send emails to that list. What I would recommend doing is coming up with an offer. It's called a lead magnet. So either a white paper or a webinar or something along those lines, a coupon that people in your target market would want. And what you want to do is run paid ads with a call to action for people to get that lead magnet, or add a pop-up to your website for people to be able to get that lead magnet. But then you take the emails and you bring them over to the social media platforms and a few other places where you can use emails to target people. And you can say, okay, I'd like to for all of these emails to see these ads. And then you can retarget those people by their email addresses. So you're using paid ads on social media to target that email list you bought instead of what was it? Sorry. And instead of emailing them and compromising the deliverability, the email deliverability of your emails going out. All right. Okay. Next question was, what if I want to build a list? Okay. So there are quite a few ways to do this depending on, your brand fascination score, your industry, your business model, what your objectives are. But the easiest ones are to offer a free ebook, to have a white paper that people can access if they give their email. You can have an industry report, gated content. If you want to see an example of this, I think Women's Health has an example. After you look at 3 different, last time I checked, it was after you looked at 3 different articles, you had to put in your email, and sometimes they make you actually subscribe as well. Depends on what they're doing at that point. Okay, you could also do giveaways. Pop-up coupons are very popular among e-commerce companies. And then you have refer a friend programs. If you go to thorn.com, let me write that one in the comments. You will see they have a refer a friend program where you can't just take a link and share it to your social media. You actually have to put your friends' email addresses in. And then what your friends might notice is that they suddenly start to see ads for Thorn. So now you know what they're doing there. Okay, so. Okay. Someone asked which tools I use. So for MD9, I use MailChimp. But for clients who play a very aggressive email marketing intertwined with paid ads game, we use something called SharpSpring. I'll share the link for that as well in the comments. Okay. If you want to use SharpSpring, MD9 does have an agency relationship with them. So I think we get like $100 off the retail price. But you do have to talk to, if you go to Molo9's website and click the help button, then someone from the team can get you set up with that. But SharpSpring is not the cheapest out there. It is for people who are very intentionally using email marketing, paid ads intertwined, and they want a lot of data, like tracking the IPs and seeing how many times an IP came to their website before converting to a buyer. And SharpSpring shows you things like which ads they saw, which emails they saw before they came to your site. So they track a lot, but I think it's like $500, $600 a month. So there are a lot of more affordable options out there if you are just getting started with email marketing. If you are wanting to play a very aggressive, like offensive game, like offense game with your email marketing and integrating paid ads, then SharpSpring might be a good option for you. But there are a lot of other options out there. I'm actually going to copy and paste them into the comment section really quick so you have the list. maybe not. It's not letting me do that. Just kidding. Okay, let me give you the list. Here we go. Okay, Quick Sprout has a good list for you to look at. So there's the link in the comments section if you want to look at other email providers. I do have some startups that I work with that use Constant Contact, ConvertKit, just reading off the list, MailChimp. Everyone that I've worked with that used HubSpot, we actually had to move them off of there because it gets very expensive very fast. And OmniSend, I have seen startups have issues with the email deliverability rate when using OmniSend, meaning the emails that they were sending were going to people's spam folders. So as far as the rest go, I've not personally interacted with any of them. Okay. So next was a question of how to increase the ROI for your email marketing. So how do you get more out of it? And the easiest thing that I found to do, and this is more for e-commerce or for visually heavy brands, is to adjust what was in your email campaign and turn it into a social media post or turn it into paid ads on social media. I actually have a guide on the exact formula that I use. It's probably going to sound like gibberish, but the retargeting goes 72, 72, 5, 10, no, 72, 72, 10, 15, 30, 60, 90. And what you do is 72 hours after you send out the email, you then run paid ads for 24 hours. And then you wait, and then you do 72 hours, and then you do it again for 24 hours. And then you wait, 10 days, and then you do it again for 24 hours. Wait 15 days, do it again for 24 hours. And by retargeting people with ads after they've seen that email, by the 90th day, if the person has not converted to a buyer, then they're probably not going to convert. They're classified as something called a laggard. And a laggard is somebody who's basically not cost effective for you to try and convert into a buyer. They need to be converted into a buyer by someone like a friend or family member. An example of a laggard is when I worked with Apple, we classified grandparents as laggards for the iPad because it was not cost effective for us to go out and market to them and try to convert them into iPad users. Actually, what worked was having their kids and current iPad users get their grandparents the iPad and getting them to convert and come in. Okay, so if you want to do a retargeting campaign, where is it? Here we go. There's a lot of software options out there that just make it so much faster and easier for you. One of them is AdRoll. I think it's like $10 a month to start. And I just dropped the link into the comments so that you have it. They make it very, very fast and easy for you to run retargeting ads after your email. Okay. So, second to last question was around metrics. Okay, so things that you want to look at for your email marketing, or things that I look at, are email deliverability, the open rate of the emails, the click-through rate of the emails. But then these are things that people usually don't think to look for, unless they've been in the industry for a while. I look at direct traffic and to see if it changes when I send out an email. I also look at referral traffic from social media sites and see how that fluctuates after sending out an email. This is because there's something called the mere exposure effect. Here's the link. And basically, sometimes you just need to remind people that your brand exists, or they feel more comfortable the more they see your brand around. So once they see a few more emails from you, they're like, oh, they get warm, fuzzy feelings, and they're no longer skeptical of your brand. The science behind that, it's because it's actually a behavioral marketing concept, is actually explained in that link I just sent you. So uh, I've found that sending out emails actually, it doesn't always, you won't always see like a high open rate or a high click-through rate, but for certain brands, we have seen a massive, massive spike in direct traffic and a massive spike in traffic coming from their social media profiles, which meant people got the email, they didn't open it, but they went to the brand's social media profiles, and then from their profiles, they went to their website and made a purchase. So that's kind of an interesting workaround that I think you should definitely look at those metrics with your email marketing to see whether or not your email marketing is working. All right. And then we had one last question. Where is it? Okay. So the question was around email marketing. Okay, so having email marketing as your central marketing strategy. Um, I don't think it's for everybody. I think for some people they find that it works very well. For other people they find that it's just it's something that's a waste of time. The ROI is very low. The general rule of thumb, if you're looking at at different channels and which ones you should use, you want to think about like one, what is your team good at? What are their skill sets that you can leverage? So if you have a really good copywriter on your team, you have a really good graphic designer, and you want to try out email marketing, that makes sense. But let's say your team is really good at reaching out to influencers. Then you may want to focus more on that and an affiliate program so you can pay the influencers that they reach out to. But people who use their email list as the core of their marketing strategy, um, it's I think it really depends on the person who's writing the emails. So I've seen some companies that were built from the ground up via email marketing. So they were basically a person, like one instance was a person, he was very intelligent with the stock market, and he would just send out a very simple email telling people like, hey, this is what I think you should buy and sell this week. Keep in mind, this is my personal opinion. I am not advising you as your certified financial planner. But yeah, that was like his very simple email. And he actually built an entire company off of that. Then I've seen people who have tried email. They have a very solid LinkedIn or Instagram following, and their email list, every time they try to use email, their target market, their tribe is just not. They're not email people. They don't like email. They don't like being contacted via email, and so they use other methods to connect with their target market. So this is something that I think is it's very customized to like who your people are, who you are, how you prefer to communicate, how they prefer to hear communications from you. Um, so if you are not like loving email marketing, do not kick yourself. You're not a failure. You're not going to like, you're not leading your company to death. Um, okay, let's see. So Sebastian asked, instead of starting off with an email campaign, what is a better starting channel? Oh, okay. So my dad, he had this saying that people like to work with people. And basically what he meant is, I know Sebastian's startup personally, so this is more, everyone else who's tuning in, this is more advice for a very young startup. When you're getting started from the get-go, from the very beginning, I would recommend, and in Sebastian's case, I would recommend actually building relationships, especially if you have something that is B2B and it's a very expensive product. Um, I have something that I call the first three rule. Let me just pull it up and give you guys the link. Where's that? Okay, so basically what the first three rule states, and this is kind of something, this literally is something that I use with every startup I work with. I find 3 people that find the founder's solution exciting. Oh, this is not looking somewhere. Okay. Okay, the link is here. If that does not open for you, let me know. I have to fix something on the back end to get it tied to the front end. Just let me know via the feedback form. Okay. Let me know via this form if you cannot get in to see the first 3 rule. But basically what it states is that your first 3 customers impact who your first 10 customers are. And your first 10 customers impact who your first 20 customers are, and 100 customers, and 1,000 customers. So you really want to be careful when you're starting your company. Find 3 people who believe that what you're working on is really exciting and it's something that they want to buy. And not only do they want to buy it, you know that they're the type of people that once they buy it, they're going to love it. And they're going to be totally open to being your first testimonials and your first case studies. Every time I launch a new startup, we do that's part of our blitz scaling routine is we look for people, we talk to people face to face, just like virtual coffee or real coffee, about the product or the startup's concept. See if they're excited. If they're really excited and they're like, oh, I need this right now, I need this yesterday, then we invite them to be part of the early testers, the beta launch or the alpha launch or whatever you want to call it. The private launch, the silent launch. There's so many different ways that you can launch. But we invite them to be part of the early group that uses the product or service for the startup. And then we build case studies around those people. Ask them for testimonials. Feature those testimonials on the website. Add them to the website. Because then when you have more people come to the site later on, then you actually have something there for them to see. You have a track record for them to see. There are a lot of startups that are launched every year, and a lot of them fail. I think it's somewhere around 90% of them fail. So you don't want to just look like you're another startup that's destined for failure by having like a simple landing page with no like trust builders on it. No PR names, no testimonials, no nothing. You want to show them, hey, we know we are a credible business. We are here to stay. We are excited to help you with the solution that we created. So let me know if that answers your question, Sebastian. Unless I totally lost you. We might have lost Sebastian. Okay. So, does anyone else have any additional questions around email marketing? You can drop them into the comments. All right. So, if not, I am going to give you one final link. And this is a link to the worksheet that I use to create content, deciding which content I'm going to use for the email marketing campaign. Yeah. Okay, so let me get this over to you. Sorry, I'm just trying to find this worksheet that I made. All right. That's not it. Oh, I made it into a notebook. Okay. Martin, I do see your question. Give me 1 second to pull up this link for you to answer. Okay. So this actually, okay. So there's, what I recommend for any kind of sound bites you're going to, or content that you're going to send to your target market, that you try to collect sound bites from your target market. So there's a survey that you can send if you have certain people in your following that are very loyal and they're excited about your brand and they like to give you feedback. It's great to send this over to them or just to talk to them about the brand and collect quotes from them and sound bites and different like snippets of what they have to say about your brand. So here's an example. Here are a few sound bites that I got from, just dropped them in the comments. These are 3 sound bites that I got from Molo9 users. So these are things that I could use in my email marketing content. But the other one I wanted to show you over here, customer data. Okay, this entire subject covers how to create content that that leads to higher conversions. So in here, you can actually skip to content guidelines. This is something that we fill out and send to copywriters that are working on different projects so that they know exactly what they need to be writing. But just going through this with your own content should help you to refine and to include what you need to in your email, your next email campaign. But I do have a few quick things that I go through. The first thing is I look at what the brand fascination score is, and I bring that over to the silver bullets. So if you remember, let's see, let me send you guys the link. Over here you have your silver bullets. The link I just sent you. You do want to include 1 to 3 of these in your content marketing. So in your email campaign, look at these and figure out, okay, which ones do I want to include in this upcoming email marketing campaign? I actually have a few more that I can drop into here. Yeah, no worries. So the other thing you want to look at is with it that worksheet that I just sent you, you have to pick where in the funnel the people are and kind of tailor your campaign from there. So if they just signed up and they're like at the brand awareness stage, like they don't know what your company is about, they're trying to like determine whether or not this is a solution for them. There's different stages that they can be at, and you want to figure out like or determine where you believe these people are in the funnel and write to them just as you talk to your mom different than you talk to your cousin, different than you talk to your own children. You want to talk to the different users in the different stages of the funnel, like using different terms. Somebody who's known me for 10 years, I can speak with them differently than somebody who's just meeting me for the first time, where I may have to establish credibility and just give them some high level points of what I've done in my career. You have the same thing with your email marketing. So people that are coming through for the first time, you may need to talk to them a little bit differently. Have some more trust builders in your email. Have some more credibility boosters. Like, these are the things I've done. This is what I've been through. And this is why you should trust me to help you get through this. Those are some different things that you would use earlier on. Whereas later on, if there's someone who already trusts you, believes in you, all you have to do is tell them like, hey, by the way, we're going to have this webinar on next Tuesday. I think it'd be really good for you because of these 3 points. Do you want to join? So see how the way that you speak to people really depends on how well they know you and how well they know your brand. Okay, so there's two other things that people usually ask when it comes to content, the content of email marketing. It's the content length and images versus no images. Oh, how should we gauge a marketing team's success or lack of? Should be based on time, sales, or other. I base mine on, actually, it depends on the brand. It depends on what your goal is. It depends. For you early on, your goal right now is sales because you need to get, Sebastian, you need the cash flow. And so you should have your marketing team success based on the number of sales made. Starting out, you should not be saying, oh, we're going to make 300,000 sales this month. You do need to build up your rapport. You do want to take some time to get those early customers, get a good relationship with them, and customize your offer. You're going to notice that your solution, let's call it a solution, because I don't know if any of your competitors are going to listen to this later. So your solution, how it is right now, it's very good. But what's going to happen, you'll notice this over the next few months, years, as you work with more people in your target market, they're going to say things to you like, oh, I love this about your solution, but it would also be great if it could include XYZ. So enjoy the early days of your startup. I would put, you do want to track sales, number of sales as one of your KPIs, but you also, for your particular business model, relationships are huge because the decision makers that you're working with have a lot of clout and a lot of credibility. So if you get one decision maker to be really happy working with you, they can probably bring you 5 to 10 more decision makers who will be happy with working with you. So actually, I would prioritize building those relationships and focus on trying to get 5 very, very happy customers within the next month or so. And keeping in mind that when you're an early stage startup, you are the brand and people want to connect with you. They don't want to connect with a random sales associate on your team. As your company grows, obviously there will need to be some distance between you and the customer simply because you have to run the company and they'll come to accept that they have to keep in touch with the sales team. But in the early days, like your first 10 to 20 customers, you want to be at the forefront talking to them and interacting with them because they're also going to help you to refine your solution that you're offering. Okay, so 2 quick things on content. The content length for email marketing. You have short and sweet emails tend to get a higher click-through rate. So they tend to get more people reading those 3 lines and clicking through to look at the content. But when it comes to search engine optimization, those emails, short and sweet emails, they tend to have a higher click-through rate. So people that go to your website, but they also have a higher bounce rate, which means people go to your website, they decide they actually don't want to look at the call to action that you use to drive them to your website. And so they leave your website very quickly. They also, short and sweet emails tend to have a lower goal completion rate. So the number of people that go to your website are high, but the number of people that leave without buying anything is also high. Longer posts, they tend to have a lower click-through rate. So fewer people are reading the entire post and actually clicking the call to action to go to your site, but they have a higher goal completion rate. So of the few people that actually read the entire email and go to your website, those people are committed to buying whatever that email was selling. So you don't want to just say, I'm only going to use one or the other. You want to look at, okay, what is your end goal and kind of decide on your length from there. Yeah, no worries. Welcome, Sebastian. I'm glad. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Okay, cool. So You also have the my last point with emails, and I know we're getting it's getting pretty long, but is images versus no images. When you have plain text email with no URLs and no images in it, it's more likely to hit somebody's primary inbox than when you include, yeah, that's what we're covering now is the images. When you include images and URLs, you're more likely to see the email put into the promotions tab, the offers tab, into a tab that's not the primary inbox. There are certain brands where images I think are necessary. Like when I worked with a few e-commerce brands, it would have been weird for them to send an email about their new fashion line without any images. This depends really on your business model, whether or not you should be using, which types of emails you should be using. I guess that could actually be the next thing I add to Molo9 is like the examples of emails that you should follow based on your industry and your business model. But Martin, for the URL that you sent me, I would say having an image that's a click play button, and when they click on that image, it brings them to the webinar on your website. That might not be a bad thing to try and test out, and see how that works. But you do also have, specifically for Martin Startup, you do also have something that is very heavy. So you could use text only emails and see that might hit home with some people as well, depending on what your story is and the story behind your company that you sent over via Telegram yesterday. Okay, I'll add that. Okay. Does anyone have any more questions, or do we want to wrap this up? I think this is coming through loud. Oh, I could see your comments. Okay, cool. Let's see. Oh, your comments are actually coming through better over here. Okay, so if you guys do not have any more questions, then I think we can wrap up today's live Q&A. What do you think? Yep. Okay, excellent. Thank you guys for tuning in, and I will see you next week. Take care, everyone. Bye.